Hey, check it out. Hey, there's me. That was impromptu doodle video. Um, Tonight I'm doing a little bit of fan art and uh, just want to say hi, share everything with you guys. I'm getting excited for the new Middle Mall Comic Con in a couple of weeks that I'll be doing. First time we've done a show in a couple of years. So big thanks to Paul King and Fet's Toy Depot for the putting on this amazing show and letting me be a small part of this playground that we're playing in. Want to shout that out. Put some graphics up. The mall strikes back. I was lucky enough to be asked to do the logo for the convention, and as you probably know, I've been throwing up some art and some fan art, and both for the show with some productions and prints and stuff with the logos and dates and times. So a lot of these will be available at the show. Contact me if you're interested. I'll also be doing some original work and some stuff for my new book, Hatched. Some behind the scenes, never before seen stuff. Sky Princess is coming up. I'm about 6 pages away from wrapping that bad boy up. So there's a lot going on. I'm really excited about it. And that's enough of me plugging my stuff. What I want to do really is do a little drawing tonight. Give you a peek at what it looks like when I'm doing the inking. I decided to stop doing so much live sketching unless I know what I'm going to draw because it takes forever. I'm going to try and keep these videos under half an hour. I say that every time. Never ends up being half an hour. So let's do this. Nope. Oh, look, I'm back. All right. What I wanted to do was get this focused in the center. If you're watching this, you've probably seen me draw before. If you haven't, well, you're in for a treat or you're going to be bored as hell. So recently talking to my man Paul from Fets, he told me what a fan he is of Venom. And so I did this Venom drawing for him for the show. And it occurs to me that I've never really drawn the character Venom before, not in a serious way, more or at least not in more than a sketch. So I thought I'd do kind of a fun close up. Uh, so I sketched this guy out really quick, and so you're gonna get a peek at inking. Now, when I ink, I have no less than 5 pens or brushes by my side. You can't see them, but they're here. See, here we are. I'm gonna put on a little music. Hope it's not too loud. And I'm just gonna try and show a little bit. Um, I like to do the edges first and get started with parts that I think are most important to iron out. I go through gaps when I'm talking and then I stop talking because I'm concentrating on the picture and the lines I'm doing. So I'm gonna do some quick, thicker lines with this brush. This is a Pit, Faber Castell Pit B, which is, I guess, short for brush tip. There's about 50 different Pit drawing pens. I'm gonna turn the paper around a little bit. Right angle. What I like about this though is that you can control the thickness of your line with just the pressure. You can make it smooth or not smooth if you want. See, I got a nice bold outline there. I'm gonna do that for the outside too. Now, the one that I did for Paul, I did a full body shot, and I did it rather comic booky, and I like that. I wanted it to look more like a polished superhero drawing. This one, I'm going to do a little more grosser, more graphic, more like a horror drawing. Because, in my opinion, the essence of Venom is he was kind of a gross horror comic character when he started. He was a gross alien, you know. I still don't see him too much as a hero, lethal protector or not. Um, but anyway, enough of my opinion on Venom. The guy. What I like about him anyway is that he's edgy. You know, like most characters, it's more fun to draw dark than it is to draw clean and polished and smooth. It's fun to draw things like dragons or demons, monsters, because you can do a lot of detail, a lot of cross hatching, a lot of wrinkles. In this case, a lot of um, I don't know, spit, saliva, teeth, wrinkles in veins in the muscles and stuff like that. So I'm throwing together some lines. I'm sort of just looking around at where do I think the thicker lines are that I can use this uh, brush for it. And before I switch to another brush, I I'm not that organized in my inking in the sense that like I don't start in one place and then just move on. I look at the whole picture and I try to see okay where do I think I need these lines so that I'm not switching brushes every 2 seconds. But I will jump back and forth as I see things that I think I need a different brush for. If I get halfway in and I see somewhere I need a bigger line, I'll just go get the bigger brush, pen. Um, let's see if we can go a little closer. So I'm gonna do the teeth. Teeth are getting into some of the finer part here. I've switched to a what is this, a combo um, brush pen. Bunch of different pens out there. Really excited. The last several years, when I first started inking, I used almost exclusively used technical pens, and then the brand of pen that I used to use, they actually stopped making, which was such a pain. Because I use a disposable technical pen, and because I desperately hate washing out my pen every time I use it, and that's the way the repeatable graphs kind of work. It was Rotring Rapido Liner was the name of the pen that I used to use. So I'm going with some sharp teeth on here for Venom, and I want to leave room for gums. I'm probably going to color this at some point. So I think it looks a little grosser when you can see gums and stuff inside of it. We give him human type elements, but make him so monstrous because he's an alien. Speaking of Alien, if you haven't watched the show Resident Alien, um, with Alan Tudyk, it's a freaking awesome, hilarious show. See, I'm going off the lines here and just making up some more teeth because I'm going backwards into the mouth. So as I'm looking at it, I don't like the way that I've got just one row of teeth here. I think it needs more. So I'm going to go with second row back, maybe. Because why not? Yeah. Apologize if my narration isn't on point. It's about 4 in the morning as I'm recording this. You know what I do when I can't sleep? I draw shit. I always got something to work on. In fact, I was just working on some lettering for the next Global Defense Force, issue number 4. But I felt just the urge to break out and do a little Venom for my man, um, for Paul King. This is me rambling. So I love this pen a lot because it's not felt. I'm not sure what that's made of, but it is a very flexible tip. And I can go very light with it, or I can go very heavy. And the heavier, you can see how I push harder and I get a thicker line, just like the older pen or the B that I used. But I can also go very, very light and do just that much. You almost only need one pen if you're back up. See more of it. You almost could do all this with just one pen or brush, but um, I find it faster and a little easier to have a few at your disposal. Some of them brush tips, some of them not. When I just need to do line, like fine lines, and I only fine lines, I just use a straight fine line pen. But like I use this pen for a while because I can do if I feel like controlling the pressure, I can do a lot with it and not switch for very long. So with this piece, I'm trying really hard to not do it clean. I don't want to do it like Superman and, for example, and just be a nice superhero piece. I want this to be more of a monster piece. So I want it to be edgy. Although I have nice smooth lines to start with, I'm going to fix those with cross hatching like that. Wrinkles. I'm going to do wrinkles. Like he doesn't have a brow per se. Oh man, I got a really good playlist going on. I've listened to Matthew West, and I believe this is Zach Williams. I like some inspirational music, especially when I'm drawing. My favorite kind of music is kind of like '90s new jack, swing, hip hop, and R&B. I'm a big New Edition fan. Bell Biv DeVoe, New Edition, Johnny Gill, Ralph Tresvant. Um, Groups like The Boys or Shy, Jodeci. So I'm gonna do a couple of things different on this picture that I always do. And I'm gonna add some gray to the whites. Normally I do that in the coloring process, but I feel like I want the original of this to look really cool in black and white and on the original because I'll probably sell this at the show coming up March 5th and 6th, Midland Mall Comic Con. And when I sell an original piece, I want it to look as complete as possible. Even if I do a lot of the completing in Photoshop or Metabang or some other digital program, feel like I want, if you're going to buy a piece of art, it should look like a cool finished piece of art. My roots are in black and white comics, which is why I go so crosshatch heavy. Initially, my first comic book publisher, we printed in black and white for cost reasons. Never really intended like um, to keep it black and white like a Sin City type of book, but it was it's way cheaper. It's like half the cost to even now to print in black and white versus color. So we made that decision, and then once that decision was made, I designed the art to try and stand on its own, which means a lot of shading and shadows. And I was always a big fan of cross hatching. My my joy, my inspiration, my mentor, my muse, my high school art teacher, Mrs. Wilcox, who just inspires everything that I do. She taught me a couple things. One was that no two uh, objects next to each other in a drawing should have the same value. So these two things, if I left it like this, these two things would look like they're the same color, like this, the head and the whatever that muscle is. Um, they would look the same, and they shouldn't. That makes it flat, like a coloring book page, and that's not what I'm doing here. Um, no problem if that is what somebody's doing. That's not my goal here. So you got to think about when you're drawing, what is your goal? What are you trying to get across? How are you going to get it across? And then focus on getting that done. The other thing that she taught me is this: art is problem solving. And that's just true, and it's true of life. All art is problem solving. You got a problem, and you have to figure out a solution. My problem in this case, I had a plain blue pencil piece of art, and I need it to be dark and rich and deep. So I'm going to ink it. Um, Starting with that, then it moves on to like what are my individual goals for each part of the drawing. Do I want it to look rounded? Yes, in some places. So I'm gonna do some cross hatching. Do I want it to have thicker or thinner lines? Um, so every step of this way is pretty much problem solving. And I think that works really well. That philosophy works well for all kinds of things like arts and crafts. I use that idea when I'm doing props for the plays that my daughter's in or the dances that my dance studio, uh, Shining Star does. We have like an idea and a premise of what we want, something we want to get across, and how do we do it? How do we get it best accomplish that? Let's see. Looking for. We'll go back to this. I want to use some large black sheets. Cross hatching is kind of a tedious process, but it's also my favorite. I really do love it. Um, but it's something I start in a certain way and then grows. And sometimes I even end up cross hatching my way into solid black. Like as I'm doing this right now, I'm not sure if this is going to be totally black. I don't know. I'm thinking right now that this is. Exactly, so this shape. Um, Fun fact, if you're not a comic book artist kind of guy, when we do a large area that we want to make black, we will draw it and then put an X in it. And usually in pencil, if you're doing the pencils and you want to tell the inker that that should be all black, basically that's the shorthand. It's one of the tools we have to let each other know what our goal is. Because a lot of times, if you're doing a comic book, maybe you're not the penciler and the inker. So I'm gonna actually do some large shapes here. It's gonna get dicey, but I'm gonna try and go behind here. And ink around the saliva. So as I'm looking at this, this is going to be fun, but it's going to take longer than half an hour. So I'm going to lay out my shapes here, and then I'm going to cut the video loose, do a little inking off camera, and come back to it so you can see. Um, because I mean, this is just going to be a lot to do, and I don't have that much to talk about while I'm doing it. I'm just kind of wanted to put this out there. And, I like doing the live drawing videos. I get good responses from people who watch my live drawing videos. So thank you all, anyone that's paying attention. Um, Feel free to drop a message in the chat. I respond to every message. even if it's not right away because I don't always see the messages. Facebook has a tendency to not show me the comments in my window in the program that I'm using. So sometimes I'll see them long after the video is done. So I'm gonna do some of these. It's a cold and windy night, man. I'm hearing the windows rattling right now. Doing a little bit of the spider thing here. I mean, most of you know enough about Venom to know that his costume comes from Spider-Man. So you got this big spidery chest thing going on. Okay. Do a little more here. One of those there. Good part is I can't really screw it up. It's my drawing anyway. And I can always white out or digitally remove anything and decide later I don't want. Sometimes just the act of drawing is just the act of playing around and decision making. Like I said, art is problem solving. And this piece is just taking shape kind of organically on its own. All I knew when I started was that I wanted to do a headshot of Venom, sort of inspired by the grittiness of Todd McFarlane's original design, but then taking it a little further than that. You know, if you see the original Venom, um, it was sort of before Todd got into Spawn and the really graphic, dark, edgy kind of stuff here. I am going to do a little thing on the grays before I go, just to show you. I'll do this on the spot. There we go. I'm doing this. I'm testing this gray out here because I know I'm going to blacken that in. So if it didn't look right, I could always undo it. So I think I'm going to do the saliva in a gray, make it even a little bit gross. Now I can change the color of it in the original, in digital. Do anything in digital. You can undo it all. You can draw it off from scratch. I still prefer to draw real physical paper and ink, and then do my touch-ups on my final work in Photoshop. But that's me. And of course, I'm going on lines a little bit. Anything I screw up, I can touch up in the finished inks. I said artist problem solving. Do a little Bob Ross, like this happy little cloud. Oh, that's not a mistake. It's a happy little drop of spit or goo. So I wanted the gray though, mostly too. And add a little shading to here, where between his chest muscles, and definitely on his eyes. So he has no eyes. You know, he's got these spidey shapes going on, but do a little bit of shadow here. I want it to look like there's something going on under there. Not necessarily eyes, but wrinkles and gore and um, just details that you can get to Venom. And yeah, a cool thing about Venom 2, he's an alien, so you almost can't screw it up. I love drawing monsters and aliens because you cannot screw them up because they're not human. You can give them all kinds of stuff, and if it doesn't look if it doesn't look normal, oh well, it's not human anyway. It's not a cheating, but it gives you the excuse to just play with the artistic license of it all. And then if I want to lighten that more, I've got some white out pens. Or if I want to go darker, I've got even more grays. I've got other gray markers here. My wife, Nola, got me these awesome gray scale markers, and I just freaking love them. Kind of want to use them for everything. I'm looking at 25 minutes on this video. A marker for doing these large areas. So one thing about doing like a lot of shading, cross-hatching, and gritty elements to your picture is you still have to decide when and where that needs to happen and when and where it doesn't work. Like sometimes it can be messy. Like right now, this looks a little messy, especially right here. But the rest of the inking of this is mostly cleaning it up. Sometimes it's hard to do to make something intentionally gritty. Cross hatching is really good to help with that, though. Like I said, I want to just fill in some of these, but where it's supposed to be black, I need to be solid black. So I'm gonna go over it. And then like the top edge, I'm gonna shade a little more, so I don't want it to be totally smooth. If it looks like a shape, then it may not look organic. I do want this to look rough and organic. I'm going over the blue line pencils because I've already scanned them into the computer. So if I want to, I can reprint or recreate or ink them digitally. So I've preserved that image, but I am inking over the actual physical pencils because I'm not selling that original art because I'm the inker as well. If I were sending the pencils to somewhere, obviously they would ink over printed blue lines or something. I find that my printer doesn't print this shade of blue as well, so I don't like to do that. It prints in a darker shade, which is difficult to remove. It does show up a little bit as gray flecks when I scan it, even in black and white. So I'm choosing to actually destroy my original pencil work for the sake of a nice clean ink work. And for me, that's really the heart of it is that pencil is just one step of it. So the picture's not really done until I'm happy with the inks. These shapes will have a more shadow added to the edges of them in the next step. Like I said, and people don't always understand, especially if you're hiring an artist for stuff like this, how long this takes. You're watching this now, and I'm working sort of quick, but I'm still taking my time to make my choices. And I'm already at almost half an hour, and that's just the inking process. It's really done. Um, to do decent work, it takes time and patience. Not to mention the time I've put into learning this, developing this as a skill. I appreciate everyone that likes to compliment me and tell me that I'm talented. I'll say again, talent is only the ability to do easily what others find difficult. What talent does is it allows you the patience to practice and become skilled. I appreciate it even more when people compliment my skill because talent is misunderstood. It's misunderstood as an ability, and talent is not an actual ability. It's not a skill. It's more. It means like something comes naturally to you or comes easier to you. It doesn't mean you automatically wake up and can play the piano. You still have to practice and learn to play the piano or draw superheroes. Or in my case, more monsters, demons. Got some really good zombie stuff coming out soon and hatched. I could get lost in this stuff for hours. And I love it. I love it and enjoy it, especially the cross hatching bit. My favorite part because it feels just so natural. Like polishing a rough stone until it's smooth as a smooth stone. I refuse to be held responsible for my metaphors at 4 in the morning. Just realized I've got the music playing. YouTube's probably going to flag this for having inappropriate or unlicensed music in the background. It does that sometimes. All right, guys. I'm going to stop right here. Ooh, no, I'm not. I'm do a little bit. I find myself looking at the screen versus looking at the actual art in front of me. Trying to see what you see. Even though we're looking at the same thing out. It looks different when you look at it in a different way. All right, we're going to stop right there. I appreciate you taking the time because I'm at 31 minutes. Damn, I went over half an hour. I'll try harder next time. I'm going to upload this in the morning and then I'll hopefully show you the finished product tomorrow. You guys have a great weekend. Thanks again. Do me a favor and check out my comics at Indie Planet and go sign up for your free Ken's Comic digital download at kenscomics.net/0. And last but not least, if there's one thing that I believe in, it's that we're here to take care of each other. And everybody's going through some kind of pain that you might not know about. So every day, think about this. What can you do to help? Does somebody need you? You don't know, but your smile might be the only smile that person sees this day. And I want us all to think about that and try and help somebody every chance you can, because sooner or later, you're going to be the one needing help. Thank you for your time. We'll check you out later. More art.